Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kenny Wallace Show. Well, it's been 1 week since the NASCAR series. All three of them have ended the season out in Phoenix, Arizona. 1 week off. And I'm thinking to myself, all the drama's over. All the driver changes are over. All the sponsorship changes are over. What's that saying? Contraire. It means it's not over. Wow. Still news, still breaking news. Let's get right to it. First of all, before we do get to it, I've got the camera away now, and my dear friend, producer Charlie Marlowe has me set up with new microphones. So hopefully you like it. Tell us what you think. A lot of the people at the racetracks throughout the last week, they come up and they go, Herman, we love that YouTube show. We like the Kenny Wallace Show, but the sound's not good and the camera's too close. So we're doing our best. We've moved the camera away. We got new microphones. So respond here if you think we're better, because we want to be better. All right. We got that off my chest. Let's get right to it. You say to yourself, Herman, what are you talking about? What do you mean there's drama? Well, I wouldn't say it's drama, but here we go. Stewart-Haas Racing. Owner Gene Haas and Tony Stewart. They are both owners at Stewart-Haas Racing. And I guess they all had a powwow. And they said, we're going to make a driving change. Cole Custer, I wouldn't say he's being demoted. However, he's going back down to the Xfinity Series. I've done it before. It has saved my career. And you're saying, okay, if Cole Custer is going back down, who's coming back up? Because that's the way it is. Ryan Preece. How about that? Ryan Preece gets a second chance, and I think it's wonderful. You know why? Because that was me. Hell, they called me 9 Lives. I'll never forget reading an article about myself. I had to read it. You know, you got to see what the media is saying about you. Kenny Wallace gets another chance. There's nothing wrong with chances as long as you're getting them. So Ryan Preece is coming back to the Cup Series a second time. I agree with it. You know, he drove for JT Doherty. He was a teammate to Ricky Stenhouse. And listen, it just didn't go as good as it needed to go. Ryan Preece is he wins in everything. That's all there is to it. Ryan Preece is a great race car driver. So Ryan Preece is going to replace Cole Custer in the Cup Series at Stewart-Haas. Now, I want to remind myself of something, and you. There are 4 drivers at Stewart-Haas Racing in the Cup Series. Let's go through it. Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Eric Almirola. Well, that's a tongue twister. all those years that I worked at Fox, you know, how do you say this guy's name? Oh my gosh, we had meetings about how to say Eric Almirola. So it is a tongue twister. Eric stays again this year. Remember, they talked him in to staying because Eric was going to leave. He wasn't going to leave. He was going to retire. But buddy, he's got a stranglehold on that Smithfield sponsorship. And they're like, hey man, please stay because I don't know what his sponsor was thinking, but that's Eric's sponsor. Sometimes drivers come in and they drive and, you know, but it's his sponsor. Pretty much seems like it. And now Ryan Preece. So you have 4 drivers at Stewart-Haas: Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Eric Almirola, and Ryan Preece. So that's just that. But here's the elephant in the room. I'm kind of chuckling to myself because it's even difficult for me to say. So you say to yourself, well, how did this powwow develop? You know, was it Gene Haas and Tony Stewart and crew chiefs? Well, the man that runs Stewart-Haas Racing is Cole Custer's dad. Joe Custer. Joe Mama. I like Joe. When I lived in Concord, North Carolina for 27 years, I would see Joe out to lunch and we'd tease each other and have a good time. A lot about just what it takes to go racing. So I would imagine that, you know, if you're going to compare, Joe Custer runs Stewart-Haas Racing. They get a big old meeting. Does Gene or does Tony call Joe? Hey, Joe, we want to do something with your boy. We don't want to fire him, but we want to move him back down to the Xfinity Series. And mind you, the reason Cole Custer is in the Cup Series is because he won everything there was to win in the Xfinity Series. But I always tell everybody, when you go from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series, that wall is so tall, it's unimaginable. From my experience, you know, I had good runs in the Xfinity Series, but boy, when you go to the Cup Series, it's the best of the best. You have the very best talent known to man. Now, you might have a driver at your local track, but hey, you know, all sports are hard to get into. So right now, we know that in the Cup Series, we have the best talent available. So I'm sure that meeting took place, and Joe Custer had to call his boy up and say, son, you know, I know you're going to be disappointed, but you get to stay racing in the second biggest form of motorsports in America. I know the ratings. I know how it's ranked. Cup Series is number 1. Xfinity Series is number 2. And I know that IndyCar is big time. It's full of wealthy people. But the Xfinity Series gets higher ratings than the IndyCars. So to me, the Xfinity Series is a great series. You can make a good living. You're on national TV every week. So I did see where Cole Custer a couple of days later was out for the holidays, giving food out, doing the right things, not folding his tent. Felix Sabates taught me that. My friend, in that Cuban accent, and never fold your tent. So I do remember that. So good on Cole Custer. Here's Ryan Preece coming. Listen, it's going to be all about timing and circumstances. How's he going to do? Well, we already know that Ryan is a winner. It's going to be interesting because I believe this will be a do-over, but in the new car. You know, has Ryan Preece been testing this new next-gen car? I don't know how many laps he has in it, but let's address the elephant in the room. Cole's dad, Joe Custer, runs Stewart-Haas Racing, and I think to myself, when you look over at Penske Racing, Tim Cindric runs Penske Racing. Who drives the number 2 now? It's Austin Cindric. Well, that worked out really good because as soon as you start to scream nepotism, you know, stupid name that I don't like, I dislike, you know, so, you know, Tim Cindric talks to Roger Penske and, hey, my boy's got it going on. It worked out great. Austin Cindric wins the Daytona 500 right away this year. And Roger's like, damn. So, you know, it worked out really well. But I believe that you have to be very level-headed. You have to be unlike anybody else. No matter how you feel, you have to stay strong-minded, you know. And when you look at Joe Custer, Cole Custer's dad, and you look at Austin Cindric's dad, Tim Cindric's dad, both the dads, they love their boy. And they know, hey, son, you know, I can only protect you so much. You're going to have to produce what, you know, maybe we go through 1 or 2 crew chief changes, but, you know, after the second crew chief change, it's pretty much going to be on you. Rusty, my brother, Rusty would say, Herm, if you suggest 5 ideas to the crew chief and the team, 3 better be right. So if you're practicing, you know, during happy hour or, you know, at the racetrack and you're practicing and you're the driver and you say, hey, I really don't know what to do, but here's what my car's doing, that's good. But if you're the driver and you say, hey, I want this change, you better be more right than you're wrong because the team feeds off the driver or the crew chief. Now, I do know that other drivers like Jeff Gordon, Jeff's not a fabricator. Jeff Gordon cannot build a shock. But nowadays, these engineers are ruling and running the team. So I'm not sold that Cole Custer couldn't get it done. I will tell you that these engineers, these crew chiefs now, they run the chassis setup. So we're going to see. We're going to let this go. Let's give it a little breathing room. Let's get 10, 12 races into 2023, and let's see if Stewart-Haas Racing was right by taking Cole and putting him back down the Xfinity Series. And that's going to be good because, they're going to be running in the Xfinity Series this year. Stewart-Haas has announced that. I believe it's Riley Herbst is the second driver, I think. Breaking news. Hey, I got to remind you, I'm not the media, okay? It's the Kenny Wallace Show, and, I don't have a media license. I only know what I know. And if I'm wrong, you all are going to tell me right here on the timeline. So, all right, we've gone through it all. We told you the new driving lineup at Stewart-Haas Racing. We told you that Joe Custer had to tell his boy that he's going to go back down the Xfinity Series. We've given you an idea of, how team ownership works over there at Penske Racing. Austin Cindric driving for Roger, but Tim, who is Austin's dad, runs the team. So these teams are professionally set up. It's very safe and very easy to say that if you're going to win the championship in the Cup Series, the budget is going to be $15 to $20 million a year. And that's just the way it is. That's what it costs. I've seen it. And you say, how the hell are you going to spend $20 million? Well, nothing's cheap nowadays. The cars themselves are $600,000-$700,000 by the time you get the motor in it. And, so it's very expensive sport. Everybody has to answer to everybody. And, as they say, if the man that is in charge of the boat hits a rock in the middle ocean, it's okay for everybody else to get off, but the captain's going to go down with the ship. So they all try to protect themselves. So, all right, there we go. You heard what the old Herminator has to say. So in the end, I think it was a good move. I think that might give Cole a little bit of more confidence. He will win some races in the Xfinity Series. I think Cole will be back, just like Ryan Preece. This is Ryan's second chance. All right, then. Let us know what you think. And we got more shows coming. The next show is going to be about numbers. Did you know how you get a number? Do you just say, I'm going to put this number? I'm going to put number 36 on my cup card. It doesn't work like that. That'll be the next show. All right. We'll see you down the road.